unbroken ties to Aboriginal law, culture and customs. We respect the traditional owners of the lands and waters we inhabit and acknowledge their elders past and present. We celebrate the enrichment of Aboriginal communities around Australia. We recognise the lasting impact of colonisation and dispossession. We salute those who have fought for the rights of First Peoples. Their legacy is our guiding light today and always.
I can't take it anymore!
Good afternoon, good evening, good day, and good morning, Blurtstars, wherever you are around the world. You are listening to the new Blurt.
You absolutely are listening to the new Blurt. Good evening, afternoon, or morning, wherever you may be listening to this on the pod, or if you're watching it on the video. Welcome to you to the new Blurt. Tonight we have a fantastic show, jam-packed one. We're going to be talking about the millionaires wanting to be taxed more. Yes, you heard that correctly. Millionaires actually wanting to be taxed more. So Wencee's going to discover that one. We're going to talk about some sightings of never before contacted tribe in the Amazon. And I'm not quite across this one, so that should be very good. Also, we've got old news. No, not news from a few years ago. We've got a 90-year-old man still working in a supermarket just to live, because that's what happens when you're an American. And I've got a little video on that one. That's a pretty good story, actually. And we've also got a 98-year-old very, very smart lady that just got her PhD, just showing that there's no age to education whatsoever. Keep learning until you die, basically. And Trump Watch tonight, we have to obviously do Trump Watch. It's just too much going on. Tonight we're going to talk about the vice president nomination for Trump, which is none other than J.D. Vance. And we'll have a little bit of a deep dive into who he is, what he did, and why we should all not very much like him, as it were. Also, we might have a little discussion regarding Tenacious D. More to come in Trump Watch on that one. Party in the USA tonight. Well, we thought we'd sort of wind it all up a little bit because there's just so much going on in America at the moment. Obviously, with Joe Biden not being the presidential nominee anymore, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll discuss that one. And then just to have a bit of fun, just at the end, we're going to talk to you about our best, well, I used to say worst podcast, but we only listen to good ones here. So Wencee's going to talk about nutrition science bites, which I'm very surprised it's got a science bent. If you've ever listened to this show before, you would know why that was a very sarcastic comment by me. Kegsta, well, that'd be me, obviously. I'm going to blurt about Get This. Now, Get This is a Tony Martin vehicle from around about 20 years ago. I still think it's stupidly funny. If you're over the age of 40, and in this case, maybe if you err on the side of maleness, but there are quite, he did have quite a lot of women viewers and listeners as well, but I find it hilarious. But then that's because I'm of the age. You may not be if you're below probably the age of 40, but it's up to you. I've got a little clip so you can have a look at that. Have a little bit of a listen and you might become a new listener. But before we do anything at all, we need to introduce the co-hostess, the wisdom hostess, the Wencee.
Thank you, everyone. Hello. Before I get started, I do want to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land on which we meet today, the Jagera and Turrbal people, and I pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging.
Oh yes, before you go any further, yes. I am coming to you tonight from the Wurundjeri country of the Kulin Nation, the Wurundjeri people. Sovereignty was never ceded, always has been and always will be Aboriginal land. Very remiss of me to forget something so unbelievably important.
Exactly,
sort of
yeah,
stuck into the show there. But how are you, my friend?
Good. It's been a couple of weeks since we've seen each other on the show, that is.
Oh, yes, definitely on the show. I was going to say, it was only a few days ago. I was up there in Brisbane, Vegas.
Yes, and we had a good time together. We had a few meals and explored a bit of the city.
We did.
While you were here, so it was quite nice.
It was very good. Your hospitality was incredibly welcoming, and it was fantastic to meet the family and and just sit down and have a meal and a bit of a chat in the same state. That was a pretty cool thing to do. And then we did the outside beer education as well at Fallon's Brewery.
We did, which we haven't aired yet, but we'll have to. We will play it on the show at some point in the near future.
We will. We'll have to splice that in at some stage. But such a massive show tonight. Look, we've got so many things in. I talked about Blurt Around the World. We haven't even talked about that we're going to have a special guest for a few minutes tonight as well.
Oh.
Have a passenger on the plane that lost its engine last week. So we'll have a bit of an eyewitness to what actually happened there and how they're all feeling and how they are now. So that will be fantastic. That'll probably come up in about 10 minutes time. So we'll just keep an eye on that one because I know that they are not too far away. Now, who are the millionaires wanting to be taxed more, Wencee? That's the question.
Yes, that is the question, isn't it? Because I was going to ask you, what do millionaires and ordinary taxpayers like you and I have in common? Not much, really.
No. No.
But this group of people,
we eat in the other.
Yeah, exactly. There's a few human basic necessities, yes, that we do exactly the same. But other than the wealth, the other the main common thing we do have in between the two groups is they actually find that society has become inequitable in terms of wealth, and it's a group called the Patriotic Millionaires based in the US. It's hard to get information as to who members are of this elite group. But they do have to earn over $1.5 million in salary or earnings, and have over $5 million of assets and things like that. So quite a lot of people in this group apparently. But what they want is they're lobbying to get tax reform. They want changes made so that the rich actually pay their taxes, just like you and I, and also closing inheritance tax loopholes that exist in many countries and things like that. So they want better pay for the minimum wage as well. So they want that increased. So there's a whole raft of things that they're after because, the world is just too inequitable at the moment. So there's
they did I think they did a study on the US just recently, and they found out that I think it's something ridiculous like 2.4% of Americans I think have 50% of the wealth or something.
Okay.
Like which is a lot.
It is.
Which is a lot,
it is
indeed. So
yeah. So there are a couple of notable people who are publicly connected to this group. Simon Pegg, the UK actor, apparently.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Can't remember the lady's name. I had it here in my notes, but not seeing it here. One of the heiresses to the Disney fortune. So she is a member of the group, and there's lawyers, there's property moguls, there's people who are in stock exchange and things like that in America. There's technologists, all sorts of people from all walks of life.
So real philanthropic ideal sort of behind this.
Pretty much. Much.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so I thought it was quite interesting, and I'll have the information on the in the show notes for people to look up. And yes, the ABC News article that I got this from, and also a direct link to the Patriots Millionaires website.
That would be that would be a great read. Absolutely, because I didn't even know about that one. So you really
neither did I.
Caught me on the hop on that one. That's a particularly good piece of news. Now, just before we go any further, we've got our special guest coming in. So I will say good evening to Sarah. Hello, Sarah. How goes?
Hello, Sarah. How are you?
Hi, Wencee. Good. How are you?
We're good. Well, I am.
Have you met? You've met Wencee before, haven't you, Sarah?
We have met once after a theatre company performance, I think.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's where I thought it was as well. That would have been about 2 or 3 years ago.
That'd be right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Sarah at the moment is in Otso. Is that correct?
Yeah, Otsu.
Otsu.
Oh, what?
Otsu.
Where is
in,
that?
yeah, it's in Japan. It's on the shores of Lake Biwa, which is the largest lake in Japan. And it's a freshwater lake, obviously, and it's very close to Kyoto, and just north of Osaka. So it's a great place to be located, to go to lots of really interesting historical sites and temples and natural features and mountains and walks and things. It's a really lovely place. Yeah.
Now, before you got to Otsu in this beautiful place, you had a little bit of an issue getting there, I believe. What was the problem there, Sarah?
Well, obviously, I'd flown from Melbourne to Cairns without issue and was connecting to a flight at about 12:30 Cairns to Osaka, and we took off, and we were probably about 35 minutes or so into the flight, and I was just settling in, had the headphones on, movie, was just getting into that, had a glass of bubbles in my hand. I thought this is going very well, and it was lovely. And all of a sudden I felt something change within the cabin. As the cabin pressure changed.
The plane felt lighter?
Yeah, well, the cabin pressure change had affected my ears. No, that didn't feel like the engine didn't actually fall off. Keely. It was still attached to the aircraft.
It's not a cartoon, Keely.
And then the entertainment system stopped. So I was really getting into my movie, and so I was a bit disappointed that was cut off. And one of the lovely staff on the aircraft walked past me, and I said, "Excuse me, the entertainment system has stopped." And he said, "I'm so sorry, we're just too busy right now. I can't deal with it." And I was, that's really interesting way to respond to someone. And then the whole the plane, I could feel, started actually changing direction. All of the attendants then locked everything up, put all the curtains back, buttoned everything down, and then belted themselves into their seats.
So did you feel like they were shitting themselves?
Well, I thought, oh, shit, well, that's actually not a very good sign that they're doing that.
No.
And I could, there's obviously something was going on. And 30 seconds later, there was an announcement, very, very calm, very Aussie pilot. "Ladies and gentlemen, just need to let you know we're experiencing some engineering issues and we need to turn around to Cairns. Unfortunately, one of our engines is blown."
Oh, engineering issue. Yeah, great. Thanks.
Yeah, just one of those small engineering issues, just a little issue.
Yeah.
And
I didn't know that planes could actually fly on one engine. I didn't realise that.
Well, he said, "Well, that's why we have two engines."
Yeah.
Because if one fails, it's like,
wow.
Okay, good to know. So the moral of this story is don't ever fly in a single engine aircraft.
Yes,
that's what I'm taking from it.
That's a very, very good moral. I like that very much.
The more engines, the better. I used to love flying on the planes with four engines. You'd have two on either side.
Yeah.
And okay.
Always more than one, two at least.
Yep.
And so how long were you up there for after all of that? It must have been a bit traumatic. I mean, I know we laugh about it now, but geez, it must have been.
It was interesting. I didn't have anyone around me. There weren't many people. I was sitting in on Jetstar as business class, and there was no one around me. business class. Yeah, business class it's a bit like the premium economy in any other airline.
Yeah.
So I considered actually getting up out of my seat and sitting with the people on the other side of the cabin and just to hold someone's hand.
Yeah.
You know, if someone needs hand holding, probably me as well, but just to hold someone's hand and say, you know, how are you doing? You're doing okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I resisted the urge because everyone seemed calm, and I didn't want to I didn't want to upset anyone with my sense of, you know, this could go badly.
Yes. Yes.
So I stayed in my seat. The captain was very reassuring, and he said, "We're about to land, and it's going to be like any other landing. You won't be able to tell the difference." Well, he wasn't quite right. He wasn't quite right with that. But it was sort of a bit bumpier. It felt like things like shuddered, you know, quite a bit more than you'd expect. But we landed safely.
Was it a rough landing, or was it still as smooth as you normally get?
Not as smooth. And whether I was paying more attention to the landing and how smooth or rough it was, maybe it was that. But it just seemed, to be pretty rough, but in control. And you know, the brakes still worked. You know, we were still able to, you know, slow down.
Oh wow, what a bonus!
But then, you know, the reality really hit. So when we landed, there was like,
as long as that's the only thing.
10 fire trucks with all their lights on just sitting there waiting. And, you know, 10 ambulances all sitting there as well. So they'd obviously called all the emergency services saying, hey, we've got this hot flight coming in, you know, coming in hot. We better, you know, we need to be prepared. So they didn't have to initiate any emergency sort of procedures, which was great.
So no going down the slide or anything?
No, damn it. I was really looking forward to that. All this time.
It would have been good. It would have been good. And I suppose you being a nurse, nurse manager, etc., but nurse in general, you could have obviously offered if you needed to. So
yeah. Look, I like to think I'm pretty cool in a crisis, having worked in coronary care and emergency department nursing. A lot of what we do is based on the airline industry's communication and training. So we do a lot of so we actually, because they have it absolutely spot on. So we learn from the airline industry. So I knew that they would be, you know, have everything in control and you know, knew you know what they were going to do, how to handle the situation. So I felt safe.
Well, that's great. And did the flight or the plane circle around the airport for a while, or was it we've got to come in?
No, none of that. We just came in with full tank of petrol, obviously, as well.
Yeah.
Normally they try and get you to, I suppose they circle to sort of drop the fuel, but we came in with a full tank of fuel as far as I'm aware. But then that was, you know, we survived that, and then everyone got off, and I think they just didn't seem to be too much stress or fuss about it. I think people were just a bit disappointed they had to go back to Cairns. To then be told we'd be put up for a night's accommodation and on the flight the next day.
Yeah.
And then 15 minutes later, that worldwide system shit itself.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah.
Which then we cancelled our flight again the next day.
Oh, God.
Because Jetstar was completely wiped out, as you know.
Really affected, yeah.
So I ended up with 2 nights in Cairns and 2 cancelled flights.
Oh, wow.
I think the night you went to Japan, I'm pretty sure, because you went Friday, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so did Ness. She went to New Zealand on Friday. And she didn't have problems. She was really good. It's just,
different airlines. I know Jetstar must have used software that got affected by CrowdStrike, so that's probably why they were out for so long.
Rubber bands and paddle pop sticks, I think. Yeah. So
well, I'm glad it was a happy ending, and you ended up in Japan.
Obviously, here's me drinking an Asahi. I'll just do a little bit of plug for Asahi.
Oh, nice.
Do
Very
that.
nice. Yes. Yeah.
So it obviously made the news, the fact that the engine had stopped. Is that right?
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I hadn't caught up that it made the news. Did it?
Yeah, no, it definitely made the news. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It was on the Channel 7 News, wasn't it? I think that's the link that I saw.
Yeah, I think that's right. But the beautiful thing is you live to tell the tale. You're there in Japan having a fantastic time, and that is awesome. And we will see you soon. Thank you very much for taking the time, Sarah. We will see you again.
Sure. Yep. Been a pleasure. I'll see you soon.
See you later.
Right. Stay well, everyone. Take care.
You too.
Bye.
Thanks, Sarah. Have a good one. Bye.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
That is
one. Was that?
Yeah, that's one of my worst nightmares, trying to experiencing that. I've had bad experiences on planes, but yeah, a whole engine dying and having to come back. Never had that before.
Yeah, no, look, what I find hilarious about that is exactly what it's hilarious, but also it's particularly good. Is what Sarah was talking about. It's like, ladies and gentlemen, at the moment we've lost an engine, but if you can find it, that'll be great, and then we can put it back on. Thanks very much. Don't panic in any way whatsoever, but the plane is going to be lighter, so maybe that's a good thing. We are going forwards, also that's a bonus, and we still have the brakes, but just chill out. And just in case, there's diarrhea packages right next to you. You know, I mean, it's it's just amazing. Some of the things that I've heard before on a plane. But we've got this guy in Melbourne that does, and he's actually on YouTube. I think he's got quite a big following. He does the trains down there. When the trains come in. He's just
I forget the guy's name, but he's a legend.
He is a legend. It's just fantastic, and he makes your day too. He's very funny. He's quick and he's funny. He's very good. It's very good.
If I can find it, I think he's got a Instagram channel or group or whatever you call it. Says the boomer. That he posts his
on the interwebs somewhere. So
on Instaface, he's got where he puts his videos and stuff like that. So if I can find it, if I remember, I will put it up for next week's.
Yeah, look, that'll be great. That will be excellent. Well, from one pretty far-fetched story to another one, what the hell is going on with this tribe in the Amazon? What have they just discovered?
Yes, not so much a discovery, but it's more about noticing this group, indigenous tribe called the Mashco Piro tribe in the Peruvian Amazon near the border of Brazil. Loggers, as we know, are just fucking up the Amazon. Pardon my French.
That's like the world's biggest fucking carbon sink.
It is. It used to be our lungs, where it's now got emphysema.
Yeah, it has. Beautifully done.
Yeah.
Beautifully
done. So loggers, and this is humans' fault. It's you and I, and not specifically, but we wanting
Bolsonaro in particular. Bolsonaro just smashed through the Amazon and tried to clear ways for farmers down there. So that's why the farmers were voting for him. And they're just exactly. Killing the indigenous. So
this group, this indigenous tribe, the Mashco Piro, have been seen previously 10 or 12 years ago, but these are one of the few uncontacted tribes, so they've seen these people. I will play a video in a second. But they've been known to kill intruders. Once, many years ago, this tribe shot a dart from a bamboo straw thing, pipe, with poison and killed someone who was trying to intrude in their area. Who knows? I don't know the full story. It's just something that was said in one of the videos I saw.
Do you know if they've got a passport?
Probably not. I do wonder how. Obviously it's the Amazon. There is no border within the Amazon, because who's going to have customs there. But yeah, so they got video footage just a few days ago, about a week ago, with the group. I'm just gonna press play in a second. With the group looking for food, because these loggers who are now encroaching in their territory, obviously reducing their food source. I'm guessing animals and also flora and fauna that they would be hunting and gathering. Yeah, so they're now. Where's this video gone?
Was there?
Yeah, it was there. I'm just going to remove it. I'm going to re-add it.
Okay.
Gotta love technology when it.
Yeah,
no, it won't be long. Won't be long.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
25.
All
right, here we go. Okay, I'm going to press play and let's have a look.
This is one of the world's most reclusive tribes. The Masco Piro have increasingly been seen coming out of the rainforest in search of food as the number of loggers grows in the Peruvian Amazon near the Brazilian border. Some logging companies hold timber concessions on areas just a few kilometers away from where this was filmed. Encounters between the tribe and the outside world have been rare but significant. In 2011, a man who had been one of the rare people in touch with the tribe was killed by a bamboo arrow after a breakdown in relations. A few years later, some tourists in a boat encountered a man with a bow and arrow, and at other times, the tribe has been known to steal food from local settlements.
You can't blame the poor bastards, seriously.
No, oh, exactly. Tell me about it. So, yeah, because of the stupid logging corporations that have all these concessions, is what they call them, those loggers. Yeah, they're slowly encroaching on this group's territory, and yeah. So
yeah, no, it's not good. It's not
yeah,
good. It's
definitely
not good.
So.
But I do have some good news. I've got some good old news, as I had spoken about. There is a lady, and I do have a picture, I think. Let's see how I go here. Nope, it's not that one.
Play the tape.
It's not that one. No, I've got that one. But anyway, that one doesn't matter. Okay, so I can't find the picture, but I will for the show notes. But this lady, she's just been awarded an honorary PhD at 98, a physicist one.
Oh,
so Rosemary Fowler received an honorary PhD from the University of Bristol at 98. She left her postgraduate studies 75 years ago to raise a family.
That's a big family. She's been looking after family for 75 years.
Yeah, you're not wrong, my friend. 75 years ago. Yeah, so 23. So yeah, it's nuts. That's just crazy. In 1948, she discovered the kaon particle, which decays into 3 pions. And I must admit, I don't know what a pion is. You may.
It's some interstellar electron, whatever you call those. I'm guessing.
Okay.
I'm guessing that she must have discovered it in a lab, obviously.
Well, I'm assuming so. I don't think she found it under a pillow. Her discovery. Her discovery marked a significant advancement in particle physics. And she departed, she left her doctoral studies in 1949 after she married the physicist Peter Fowler. And her discovery continued to influence the field. Recognition of her legacy, Sir Paul Nurse praised Fowler for paving the way for critical discoveries in physics. Her work remains influential in understanding the universe. This is an amazing story.
Wow.
And honorary Doctor of Science ceremony, Fowler was awarded the honorary degree in a private ceremony near her home. Her daughter, Mary Fowler, expressed pride in her mother's achievement. Daughter's only like about 79. Just a young one. Just a whippersnapper.
Well, when we're talking about presidential candidates, that's a whippersnapper.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Very true indeed. But anyway, continued connection to the university. Fowler maintained ties with the University of Bristol through her husband's academic role. This connection highlights her lasting impact on academic community. So I think that is a fantastic fantastic story.
And what was her name again?
Her name is Rosemary Fowler.
Rosemary Fowler. Okay.
And there will be links in the show notes. I'll definitely have links in the show notes for this, so
Excellent,
you can
excellent.
check that up, because she's definitely one to know about. There's too many women and slash Indigenous Black people, etc., smaller minority groups that have not been recognised for their discoveries and inventions and innovations and all the rest of it throughout history. So it's excellent that this sort of stuff is now actually being known. And
congrats.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got another fantastic bit of old news here. This is another great little story. Now, it must be remiss of me, I didn't get this guy's name, unfortunately. Oh, sorry, I apologize. I do have it. His name is Dylan McCormack, and he is a USA veteran. He's gone through a few wars. He's 90 years old. So I'm gonna play this and have a listen to this story, because this just gives you an idea of the America that is present right now. So just give me a second.
How old am I? Just made 90 in November.
Oh my Lord. So it is 90 degrees today and you are working as a 90-year-old. Why are you working so hard? Did you ever serve in the military?
Long time ago.
Where did you serve?
In Greenland.
In Greenland? What branch? What branch?
Air Force. I was stationed in San Antonio, Denver, Colorado, Stratoston, Greenland, and one other piece I can't remember right.
God bless you,
Cheyenne,
sir.
Wyoming.
Thank you, sir, for your service.
You're welcome.
You said you've seen him before?
Oh, yes. I shop here all the time, and he's always working really, really hard out here, especially in the heat.
All the time?
All the time.
100%. He's 90 years old in 90-degree weather.
And he loves his job, but he's like struggling. I help him pull the baskets.
Can I just ask you, here you are in the heat doing this. You don't work for Winn-Dixie. Why are you doing this?
This man. He's 90 years of age. Matthew chapter 7, verse 12 says, all things that you want someone to do for you, do for them. So it's action that the mind of Christ is based on, not inaction, just watching him sweat it out.
May I ask you how old you are?
You'll never believe it in a million years. 73.
God bless you.
He looks older.
I was going to say that too. I think that's what he meant, though. I think that's what he meant.
Yeah. Wow. So why is he working at that age?
Gotta
You
keep
were
listening.
to be comfortably retired. What would it take?
Gotta keep
About
listening.
$2,500 a month.
And you make how much?
Overall, I make 14. Between my Social Security and this job, $2,600.
Okay, so you need $2,600. You need people to give $2,600 a month for you to live comfortably.
Yeah. But like I said, I'm 90 years old, and I'm not going to be around.
So that is horrible, but
That is so sad.
it is super sad. But there is a happy ending, and I thought it was on the end of that. So give me a second, and I will get you the happy ending.
The happy ending,
Because
yes. I want a happy ending to that one, because
yes, that is not that. That is not that. That is absolutely not that. So I will get this correct. Here we go. Right. So an elderly United States veteran who needed to work at a grocery store to make ends meet was given $200,000 for his retirement thanks to a successful GoFundMe campaign.
wow.
So they did a GoFundMe. Yeah, they did a GoFundMe when they found out about that. They did a GoFundMe almost immediately. And within, I think they were trying to get 25,000 or something like that, or 30 or 50 or whatever. And almost immediately, like it was like 24 hours or
Shut
something,
up.
they had 200,000.
Wow.
200,000.
Amazing.
Which in America, that will be, he'll be able to live on that very comfortably for 5-6 years. So,
Yeah.
And he won't have to work. If he wants to work, he can, but he doesn't have to. So
the amazing thing
so
is
that-
at night. The amazing thing is at 90, he's still very mobile and got strength. So he must still be living independently, which is great. So I hope, yeah, like you said, that money would last him quite a while now, which is great. Awesome.
You know, it is. It's a really good story, and it's also a really terrible story because it just shows you that before they did that GoFundMe, he is a veteran. He told you all the wars that he that he served in, and that's how they treat their veterans over there. They should be ashamed. That's
definitely.
disgraceful. That's just totally disgusting. And talking about disgusting.
11,780 votes to win the election. No, fellas, I need 11,000 votes.
Losers only. It's Trump Watch. China.
Well, old Orange Head's been getting pretty happy lately because he thought after the debate he was a shoo-in without a problem. And as we know, someone, well, I find it weird. Someone takes a pot shot at him and they hit his ear. Have you seen how big the guy is? He's like 6'5". He weighs 300 freaking pounds.
Yeah.
How can you only hit an ear? You must be a really, really good shot.
Bad shot.
Well, yes, absolutely. I understand. But you got to be careful because if you're Tenacious D, you can get cancelled for saying things like that.
Yes,
So,
well, they cancelled their shows in Australia, as we know.
Yes,
and
I'm totally gutted about it. And Babbitt, Ralph Babbitt, I think it is. If you ever listen to this show, get stuffed. You are a right-wing nutbag, and we detest you on this show. And you
Babbitt?
stand for nothing. He's the guy that got him cancelled, basically.
Oh, right.
Yeah. He's he's a right-wing nutbag.
Did he break the story or something?
Yeah, absolutely. Because he's a MAGA supporter.
Right. Okay.
So
so, what's his name? Kyle Glass.
Kyle Gass. Yeah.
He shouldn't have said that in public.
No, he should have kept it under his breath, in his head, and thought it like nearly all the rest of normal people in the world do. Yeah,
exactly. And as much as I don't want Trump in the race for presidency, that is not the way to go. I'd rather he lose at the election ballot with the voters going, no, we don't want you, goodbye. That is the best way to get rid of him.
Oh, look, I agree. I do agree. But yeah, look, I do agree. Just the really bad. I mean, Kyle has apologized profusely for his lack of judgment, which it absolutely was. Definitely. And it's a fucking crying shame that they cancelled all their shows because I've seen Tenacious D twice. And I've been very lucky to do that. And I saw them once acoustically and once with their band. They were awesome both times. I was looking forward to seeing them the third time. And now they've been cancelled. So
I wonder if are they going to reform? Well, are they going to continue, do you think? Or is this the end of it?
No. They'll continue. I'll tell you this for a fact. If Kamala Harris, got to get it right. If Kamala Harris wins the election, I think they'll reform. I'm hoping. You and me both. and saying that, this is what she's up against. We know obviously Orange Head's views. They're whatever keeps him out of jail. That's basically his views. So
Teflon Trump.
Yeah, Teflon. So just recently, just apropos, but just recently, the classified documents case that's now been dismissed.
Oh yeah, not surprised.
Because the judge of that case was appointed by Orange Head.
Oh, right. Okay. Did that change?
She's been his patsy the whole time. So she's
Right,
delayed.
Yeah.
And now she's come up with another excuse to why she's able to dismiss the case. In this case, she's saying that the prosecutor was not appointed legally, etc.
Right.
But the way that he was appointed is a very known and followed process in America for years, and heaps of special counsels have been created this way. So she's just trying to find every loophole she can find and create, and use precedent when it suits her, and not use precedent when it doesn't suit her. So
straight out of the Trump playbook.
Yeah, pretty much. So so that's pretty bad. But hopefully, if we say Kamala Harris wins, that will be back on the books. Because the Georgia case is still going ahead. That's still happening, and we haven't spoken about it. We will soonish. But the September 11th sentencing for the 34 felonies will be happening, obviously, in September 11th. I just thought about that. September 11th. That's
ominous.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, 9/11.
Wasn't the conviction supposed to happen in June or July, and then it got pushed back? So it got pushed back
September 11th.
months.
September 11th.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Yes, it is a very long time. The judges, I mean, they just walk backwards for this guy. It's just phenomenal. I can't believe how many breaks this guy gets. It's just incredible. No one else in any normal circumstance would have the breaks that he gets. It's even from a democratic point of view, he gets so many breaks. But anyway, moving on. So I wanted to talk about who he is just selected for his VEEP, i.e. there's vice president. VEEP. So his name is J.D. Vance. He wrote a book quite a few years ago called Hillbilly Elegy. In all intents and purposes, it's quite a good book. Ron Howard made a film of it, and Emma Stone. Is it Emma Stone? I think it's Emma Stone. Oh no, Amy Adams. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Amy Adams plays the mum, plays his mum, and it's called Hillbilly Elegy, and it's all about how he was brought up in a lower class white culture environment. And I almost watched it the other day because it's a Ron Howard film. So I pretty much love anything that Ron Howard does. But I was like, I don't know if I can. Because this guy's just turned over, just totally flipped. So to give you an idea of that, how he used to think, this is what he used to think in 2015-16, I think it was. He described Trump as a cynical asshole or asshole, like Nixon.
Straight to the point.
Yeah, he was, and he was on, good books. Expressed concerns that Trump could be America's Hitler.
Wow.
Labeled himself as a never Trump guy. And called Trump an idiot.
Right.
He also stated that Trump was a demagogue, taking advantage of neglected lower income, lower education white people. And he said that because that's what Hillbilly Elegy is all about.
Ah, right. Okay.
So, fast forward 2024, J.D. Vance, he's just a new dude. He's like,
what a turncoat.
Just totally reborn. So his views now, he emphasizes a blend of conservative values and populist rhetoric. That part's correct. His platform includes economic policies. He advocates for policies that support working class Americans, including criticizing Wall Street and promoting economic fairness. The hilarious part about that is that's 100% against Trump. He's totally opposite to that opinion. And that's his opinion now. So it's going to be interesting how that goes. Family and community, when they talk about family values in the Republican Party nowadays, because it's a MAGA party, It's almost always pro-life.
Yeah.
And his pro-life views have no restrictions at all for rape or incest.
JD Vance or Trump?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
If Trump was in a room, if he was in this room right now and there was no one here and you had a conversation with him, I guarantee you he would say he's pro-abortion.
Yeah.
So
without Trump.
Yeah, I would definitely 100% say he would say that. But because it works for him, because it works for his Christian evangelist nutbags, etc., and the nationalists, which sometimes includes Nazis, because that's what Nazis were. They were Christian nationalists.
Yeah.
So, they're very happy to hear that sort of crap. And I was just listening. I think I was just listening to JD Vance, who was asked a question just the other day about rape and incest. And his answer was he doesn't think that the baby that's being born should have to bear the consequence and the inconvenience, i.e. someone being raped, etc., or incest, of the mother.
Right.
So the fact that they have, had this traumatic, horrible, disgraceful, you can't even, there's not enough words.
An experience like that.
All he's thinking about is what's coming out of that. And you can imagine the mother, all they would want to be doing is getting rid of anything to do with that.
Yeah.
And for him to have any say in that in any way, shape, or form is just, it's absolutely abhorrent. It's absolutely abhorrent. And this is the nominated VP for the so-called Republican Party.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get your head around that.
Yeah, the Republican Party's just changed so much in the last 8 years since Trump's come on board.
At the moment, it's dead until they change it again. So it's definitely not Republican at all.
Yeah.
And he emphasizes American sovereignty and reduction in foreign interventions, which basically means America first, stuff everyone else, and we'll do whatever it takes type thing. Because Trump has said that, as we've spoken about on the show before, about tariffs, et cetera, and he's going to stuff around with the tax mix, but not in a smart way. I mean, anything that he basically talks from that perspective, it never makes any sense. I told you what the CEOs said a while ago, that when he had a chat to them, they're like, oh, good, I'll get rich from this. I don't understand why you're doing what you're doing or why this makes sense and where any of these figures come. But I can work out that I can get rich for this, so this will do me type thing. So, so not a lot of good stuff there, but we do have Party in the USA coming up soon, and we've got a lot of good stuff there to talk about. So that will be interesting. So,
yeah, will be.
Did you have anything you want to say on that at all, Wencee? Anything you want
No,
to add?
not really. It was just interesting to listen, and it's sad that we're witnessing this from afar. That's all
it
I
is.
can say about this.
That's very sad.
The Australia Institute produces high-quality research that has real-world impact, whether it's revealing the $10.3 billion in fossil fuel subsidies provided by federal and state governments last year, or our long-standing research advocating for a federal anti-corruption commission with real teeth. We change minds. To donate, head on over to australiainstitute.org.au.
When you give blood, you're more than just a blood donor. You're the lifeblood of Australia. Search Give Blood and book your donation with Australian Red Cross Lifeblood today. Give life. Give blood.
It's a party in the USA.
Is it a party? Oh dear.
I know.
Hopefully will be come November 6th or whenever after the fact.
We're crossing everything we've got, my friend.
Yes, we are. I just wanted to, for this segment, just quickly go through Joe Biden's achievements and maybe just quickly go through his letter as well that he stating when he was withdrawing from the presidency.
If you can get the important parts from the letter, would be good.
Yep. All of it's pretty important, but
Fair enough.
yeah. So he starts it off obviously with my fellow Americans. Over the past 3.5 years, we made some great progress as a nation. They're still strong, etc. He's listed some of his achievements: lowering prescription drugs for seniors, expanding the affordable healthcare, providing critical care for those veterans that we were just talking about before, especially those exposed to toxic substances, things like that, passed some gun safety laws, and many other achievements he's put in there.
He really took it up to Big Pharma. Trump did absolutely nothing on this side, and he did a fantastic job. I mean, he did a fantastic job with the IRA, the Inflation Reduction Act, which actually he was able to crowbar some really good green policies in there, etc., etc. But fortunately, just recently, the very, very corrupt SCOTUS have passed a law regarding the Chevron doctrine in America. And the Chevron doctrine basically says that if the regulators are trying to do something, they have the power to do what they're trying to regulate, etc. And the SCOTUS have now passed a law saying, nope, if the states want to do something like contravene the EPA from trying to keep the air pure, etc., because they want to drill in an area, they have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
That's where Joe got really pissed off the other day, in particular.
Yeah, fair enough. He also says that it has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president, and while it's been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. And he does express his gratitude for everyone who's worked for him. And I want to thank Vice President Kamala Harris for being an extraordinary partner in all this work. And she has done quite a lot of achievements, which I'm sure you're going to go through in a little while, as VP at the moment. So he sent that out via Twitter a few days ago, over the weekend, Sunday, I think, our time.
It's beautifully written. I have read the whole letter. It is really beautifully written. It does actually nearly draw a tear when you read it, because he actually was, and he's not dead. He's a decent guy. He's just getting old. We've talked about this on this show ad nauseum. He's a smart guy. He's been a smart guy for a long time, and also he's been able to compromise with a lot of the far left, i.e. AOC and Bernie, and because he's been a bit more of a sort of a moderate centralist. So it's been fantastic that he's been able to do that. So they've been able to get the sort of stuff through the IRA Act, etc., etc. So it's a real shame, but I fully agree and endorse many opinions that he unfortunately just is too old. The debate definitely showed that, and it's quite obvious. Sure. If it's quite obvious if you see Orangehead now at rallies and stuff, he's stupidly too old as well. We know all the rest, but he's really you've only got to just listen.
But Trump has a lot more energy than Biden does at the moment, even though there's only a few years difference, 2 or 3. So when you see them both side by side, you go, one's way too old physically, and the other one's just a dickhead.
True, but if you see him without the makeup and you see him in a golf cart, and he just looks, oh my god,
so unhealthy.
Oh,
it's amazing he's lasted this long, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
So,
but
it's,
just to
but
recap on Joe
yes,
Biden's achievements,
yes.
he's pretty much been a career politician because he was about 30 when he got into politics, and he nearly pulled out because I think it was 1972. He was with his first wife.
Someone
He'd
died
run,
or something. Yeah.
yeah, he was running for senator. Can't remember which state. And his wife. So he had wife and already had 3 kids. Hunter, mental blank.
Oh,
What's the other? Bo.
oh,
And little daughter. Can't remember. I did read it. Is it Naomi?
I
Could be
can't
wrong.
remember the girl's name.
Might have to do some fact checking. I think it was
Okay.
Naomi. Could be wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sure it started with an N. But yeah, his first wife and daughter died in a car accident.
When he was 30.
When he was 30.
Oh, that's
and so
just
he I think it was right at a time when it was elections. He was waiting on election results for that senator role that he was going for, and so he talking with his colleagues and other people from his party, they convinced him to stay in the race and continue in politics. And 50 odd years later, he's still there, obviously. But as a senator, some of his achievements, he played a crucial role in drafting and the passage of the Violence Against Women Act in 1994. It was involved in the Comprehensive Crime Act control of 1984 and 1994 as well, Crime Act or Crime Bill. In foreign policy, he was chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. He initially supported the Iraq War in 2002, but became a critic of the Bush administration's handling of the war. He's also, he also chaired the Senate Judiciary Committee from 1987 to 1995, overseeing 2 of the most contentious Supreme Court nomination hearings in the US history, one being Robert Bork in 1987 and Clarence Thomas in 1991.
God, yeah, him.
So his handling of the Thomas hearings, particularly the allegations of sexual harassment by Anita Hill, was widely criticized and is a complex part of his legacy. He also supported Amtrak. He was known as Amtrak Joe because he supported the railways, and he was known to travel all around America. So he really supported the train industry and the infrastructure that went around it. Following the death of his son Bo from brain cancer, he led the Cancer Moonshot Initiative to accelerate cancer research and things like that. So, as vice president under Barack Obama, he also was part of the Affordable Care Act, economic recovery efforts as part of the 2008
crash.
GFC. What did that stand for? Great financial crisis? Or global financial crisis. He's always been a gun control advocacy, especially following the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. He's a supporter of the LGBTQ plus community.
Just before we go any further on that, I'm just going to just a small adjunct. You're talking about being a supporter of gun rights laws being supporter of gun laws, etc., and acts, etc. There was an act that was put into place, I think, in 1994, and it was an act that prohibited AR-15s.
Oh, okay. That's an assault rifle, I'm guessing, or something powerful.
Well, that's the one that had a crack at Orange Head.
Okay.
And nearly every other mass shooting that's occurred in America is the same gun.
Yeah, right.
So they supported banning that gun from 94 to 2004.
Yeah.
And I'd have to see the statistics to have a look at the mass shootings at that time. But I'm pretty sure they went down, but I'd have to check. From 2004, that act sunsetted. So that meant that whoever was the president could just say, do we want this law still? Or do we want to uphold it? Or do we want to scrap the law, if you like? And you can imagine what they did, because who was in 2004?
One of the Bushes, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Bush Jr.?
Yeah.
No, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Guns, guns, guns.
Yep.
And I've just did a fact check. It was Naomi Biden
nice work.
who died. She's a 13-month-old girl. So yeah, very young.
That's
baby.
pretty. Yeah.
As president, another legacy for some other legacies that Joe Biden will have will be he was obviously the tail end of the COVID-19 response after Trump left, in prioritizing vaccine distributions and getting vaccinations up in America, and improving public health measures as well. The IRA that you talked about, the American Rescue Plan Act, which was the $1.9 trillion economic relief package, which provided direct payments to Americans, etc. More judicial appointments and other gun control measures is done as well as president. So, he's got a 50-year history of being in politics and major achievements. I'm sure they'll.
And most of the time being on the right side.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure a lot of people will put negative spin on some of those things of what he's done, and
especially the Gaza stuff lately.
Yeah. And that's the big one for me, that he hasn't made any inroads in that and got Israel to pull out of that war and get back onto the negotiation table. So that's my only big negative of his legacy at the moment. He's got a few months to fix it.
Yeah. No. Well, I think I saw something today that they're still trying to, accommodate a ceasefire, etc. So not all is lost, but look, I think,
I was just going to say, I just want to, I wish him well for the rest of his presidency, and he's done a great job, I think.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I think he's been extremely good for the country. People that have a clue of any kind in America would understand how much he has done for that country, especially since he's been president. And he has a very, very big elderly contingent that vote for him. Because in every poll, I think 50 or 60 and over or whatever are voting for Biden. So, the old people are definitely voting for the old person. So, but Kamala Harris now needs to get the young ones. That's what she needs to.
And that's what I hear, that if she's nominated, that she might bring in the young votes as well.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So, as you just said, President Biden's announced his withdrawal, but I think more importantly, that is super important, but what's even more important is that he fully endorsed Kamala Harris as the VP. Now, it doesn't mean that the vice president, it doesn't mean that she's automatically the VP. I think they're having a convention. I believe that's happening in a couple of weeks or something. But I also believe that there's so many people that could have run against her, isn't running against her.
Yeah.
And there's been it's been a lot of news, a lot of things have been happening. So I thought I'd just talk about a couple of things that have been happening since she's been nominated. It's been a little bit of a whirlwind. So within the first 24 hours, they've raised $100 million.
Yep, that's a lot.
And just before that was the case, they had donors that were actually starting to retract money.
Yeah, or putting it on hold and until they got their way, which they have now. So I think that part of that money that's come back now.
Yes, absolutely, and I think there'll be more coming in. So current polling data shows competitive race between Harris and the likely orange head. Some polls suggest a slight edge orange head, but the race remains close and dynamic. I think they're old polls. They're really those
Mm.
polls are before she's been nominated and before she's
Yeah.
really got to chat to anyone.
Yeah.
So now she's got 3 months to get herself out there and go nuts. It would have been
Mm.
nice if they gave her a bit more time, but she needs to, needs to definitely get noticed. So her campaign is actively vetting potential running mates and focusing on key demographic groups, as you just spoke about, including not just young people, but the Asian American voters in Philadelphia, and campaigning in North Carolina. The developments highlight the dynamic nature of 2024 presidential race and her role in it. She's achieved many things that many people do not know. And these are all the things that she should mention it, I think, so she starts getting to know the American people a bit. But obviously she's got to talk about what her thoughts are and her ideas and her policies and what she holds true to going forwards, etc. And it definitely isn't what the VP JD Vance is talking about. This is quite different. So she's Vice President of the United States. She's the first woman, first Black American and South Asian American to hold this office. She was a senator from California from 2017 to 2021. Yeah. She championed legislation for hunger relief, rent relief, maternal health, small business support, infrastructure, climate action. She also played a key role in questioning Supreme Court nominees and securing American elections, because they're always trying to take the vote away. Because they take the vote away, the Republicans can win. If everyone can vote and everyone does vote, Democrats win. It's as easy as that.
Yeah.
The Attorney General, she was the Attorney General of California. She secured a $20 billion settlement for homeowners facing foreclosure and a $1.1 billion settlement for students and veterans defrauded by a for-profit college. That's one thing she wants to do. She wants to start getting the for-profit colleges to get taxed.
Yeah,
they don't get taxed. That don't get taxed properly over there. So she also defended the Affordable Care Act, we spoke about it before, and enforced environmental laws, which I was alluding to before as well. She was also the district attorney of San Francisco at some stage.
Yeah, that's right.
She established the first environmental justice unit in the DA, which is the deputy attorney, isn't it? Is that the
district attorney?
District attorney office. Created a program for first-time drug offenders to earn a high school degree and find employment. Officiated the first same-sex marriage after Proposition 8 was overturned. I assume Proposition 8 is very much like what we had here when same-sex marriage came through a couple of years ago. So just those alone is pretty amazing, and there's heaps more than that. I've only just scratched the surface. So she also set a record for the most tie-breaking votes in the Senate, casting decisive votes for the Inflation Reduction Act, which you alluded to, and the confirmation of Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson to the Supreme Court, who is there now. She also worked on significant investments in infrastructure, job creation, and the capping of the cost of insulin. So she has totally been at the coalface of all of those things that Biden has been doing. And I imagine she's been doing a massive amount of that, but we don't hear it enough. Because they don't want to take it away from Biden at the time. So
this is, and it's not just an American thing, but this is what I'm about to say is a worldwide thing.
Yeah.
No one in the past has ever said anything negative about a vice president because they've all been men, but because she's a female, there's a lot of sexism going on to say that she's bad, she's this or that. Because most of the time VPs are just sitting there silently in the background doing their job, but no one ever criticizes them like they do the presidency. Whereas we're going to start hearing.
I don't even know who the VP was of George W. Bush. I wouldn't have a clue.
Yeah, no clue.
I think it might have been Dan Quayle. No, not Dan Quayle. I think he shot him. I think George W. Bush shot him.
Tried to get rid of him.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's Al Gore. Yeah, obviously we've heard of Al Gore and all those people. You hear a lot of them after they've left their office, but while they're in office, you don't really hear much of them or anything like that. So
no, we didn't know about them, did we? At all?
No.
Really. Especially, I mean, that was a while ago, and I've got to be honest, I wasn't as anywhere near as sort of in the weeds as I am now and as we are now. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so you're spot on. But it's not just racism. Sorry, it's not just sexism. It's racism as well as sexism.
Yeah. She's got the double whammy.
She's got the double whammy, and that's why it's going to be really interesting who she picks as VP as well. But we can talk about that another day. Now we need to do ourselves a favour.
You're listening with Wencee and the Kegsta. Next up, do yourself a favour.
Yeah, so look, do yourself a favour, all about the best podcasts, or just the podcasts that we're listening to at the moment. And I have gone back into the archives a little bit. Yes,
going back in time.
I have. Now I should have that somewhere. I'm sure I've got a sting that would be good for that, but I can't find it. But anyway,
add it in post.
Yes, I can add it in post. That's 100% true. That's 100% true. So the potty I wanted to talk about used to be a radio show, and I used to listen to it religiously in 2004 when I was working, and I'd have it on in the background, and it just used to make me giggle like there was no tomorrow. Because 2004 is nearly 20 years ago, and I'm 50 odd now. So yeah, at 30, it's funny. I still find stuff that I found at 30 funny. I still at times I still find it funny now. And some of this stuff's a tiny bit puerile. It's not sexist or anything like that. It is a little bit puerile, but not always. But this particular bit I'm going to play in a minute is slightly, but it's still funny and very clever. And it's a Tony Martin vehicle, as I say, from nearly 20 years ago. And he has released, and I'm so glad he did, he's released this radio show called Get This, that's as a podcast. And so you can just go in and just find it. And the fantastic thing is he has all these awesome guests. He has Glenn Robbins, Peter Rosethorn, Lockie Hume. If you know any of those names, if you're listening to this, yeah, absolutely. And if you know any or some of those names and you're listening to this pod, you'll probably like it because there's Santa Chilaro and, the whole, but just everyone, Dave Graney, etc. All these guys, So all these guys were about and sort of were on the radio, and you'd sort of hear from them quite often. And Angus Sampson, all these sort of people would have a bit of a note. So anyway, this is just a little bit of an excerpt of some of the stuff that Tony gets up to, and he's very funny. I find it hilarious. But again, I can find some stuff a little bit puerile, but I still find it funny. So, and I suppose I also marvel over how clever it is with the editing, because us just doing our potty, I understand how clever this is just to get this off. So here we go. Get This podcast, June the 1st, 2006, just a little bit here. I've just cut a little bit for people to have a little bit of a sample of the genius of Tony Martin.
Get This, weekday mornings from 9 on Triple M.
Mr. Howard, thanks for joining me.
Always a pleasure.
Are you seated comfortably?
Well, it's not for me to say whether I'm comfortable or uncomfortable.
Right, I was just asking if your chair was okay. I'm not Kerry O'Brien.
I'm sorry, Tony, I don't have anything to add to the earlier answer.
Was there an earlier answer?
Tony, I don't really have anything to add to the previous answer on that.
Hang on, which answer are we talking about now?
The previous answer.
The one before that one?
The earlier answer.
Howard, I don't know where we're going with it.
Tony, I'm not going to speculate about further goals at this time.
Okay, fine. I'll start again. Mr. Howard, thanks for joining me.
Always a pleasure.
First, let me say the comb over's looking a lot better these days.
Although it's not perfect. by the pristine standards of its critics, it's a lot more.
And I hear you're having a lot more work done. Pectoral implants on the way. I've heard talk of huge mutton chop sideburns.
Tony, I'm thinking about what I can do in a lot of areas.
The word on the street is you've had a bit of enlargement work done on the old fella.
It's enormously improved from what it was.
Could you describe the operation for us?
Well, it's ridiculous to say what happened to it. It was a completely new exercise.
Yeah, from what I hear,
Tony,
you'd still like to go a lot bigger.
Tony, let's get a sense of perspective.
Wow, that's
the upper end.
It's amazing.
It's balanced, it's stable, it's the envy of most other countries.
I don't have a rule with me, but are we talking 10?
No, more than that, probably closer to 11 or 12.
Wow.
And the idea that it should have been even bigger is absurd.
Tell me, when your wife took a look at it, was she, what's the word?
Mesmerised.
Yeah, does she have a nickname for it? And how's it been received in the cabinet room?
It's been widely applauded.
It
And
must be making you popular with the ladies.
it's a question of whether you can service it.
Look, I'm showing you a picture of a man Van Stone in a bikini.
It is not going up.
No. Mr. Howard, I understand you're now calling yourself the Prime Minister of... Pleasure. And whenever Shane Warne's in town, the two of you hook up.
Always.
And your behaviour gets pretty...
outrageous, provocative, and all of the other things that one can say.
Yeah, I hear you. Wild parties at the lodge.
There have been allegations about human rights abuses.
A story I've heard is one night Warney showed up, he'd had a few, he dragged you out of a caucus meeting and said, let's get laid.
He said that very openly. He said that he wanted to have a good f***ing...
And he suggested the two of you have a foursome with the Veronicas.
I'm not aware of any such suggestion from him. He certainly didn't suggest it to me.
Mr. Howard, please, according to the New Weekly, the Veronicas were singularly unimpressed by your advances.
Well, you don't have to agree with everything that a friendly leader does or says.
You were rough and inattentive.
We had a lot of other things to do as well.
Women have needs, Mr. Howard.
Those things have been carefully met or attended to.
The girls say you were both pathetic and clearly too drunk to do anything.
Well, I don't accept that. No, I don't. And
really? Well, what did they say then?
Gee, you fellas are good. I mean...
oh, Mr. Howard, the Veronicas are actually in the next studio right now.
And let's bed them down.
Oh, I don't think I'll be asking them in.
If we could
talk to the animals?
That is complete nonsense.
Right, just before you go, could you do your Bob Hawke for us? Very good.
Always a pleasure.
No.
And that gives you just a little glimpse. Just a little glimpse. So when
so
you're...
for all those kids out there, this is pre-AI. This was all handmade, spliced.
Oh yeah.
To make it sound like a legitimate interview.
Oh yeah.
That's hilarious.
Absolutely. It is, and it's so clever. It's so well done. It would have taken freaking hours. I want to do stuff like that, but I know how long it takes. But I really want to do something. I want to do it with the Orange Head, but it just takes so long. I might have a crack if I can find one, but it does take so long. But yeah, there's quite a few of them, and that's just a 3-minute clip of just laughing your head off, which is awesome because there's so much shit in this world. There's also so much greatness and hope and good in this world, and just to have a fantastic laugh like that sometimes with so much or so many of the heavy podcasts we listen to, even when they're particularly good for us, like the Imperfects and the Happiness Lab and all those sort of things. It's good just to get something that's a little bit ridiculous and just have some fun. So so I totally endorse that. Give it about 4 point. I'd give it 4.8 Blurt Stars, but that's just
nice high one.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I'm biased. I know I'm biased, but yeah, I love it. Oh, the other thing is, if you like this, you may like Sizzletown. Sizzletown's a little bit different. That is another Tony Martin vehicle. That is a podcast that comes out once a month, and it has Matt. I think it's Matt Dow. I think it's he does all the effects, and he is an absolute genius on effects, and they still use heaps of effects in Sizzletown. So hence the only reason they make once a month is because it would take them hours and hours to make their podcast. So Bit of a double whammy there,
That's
Sizzletown as well. So there you go. That's me
excellent,
done.
excellent.
Over to you, my friend.
Awesome. So 4.8 for you. I'm going from your extreme, which is an old podcast that's just, or radio show that's been converted into podcast, to one that is brand spanking new.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Only one episode so far.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. So it only just started last week. This one is called The Nutrition Science Bites. It is hosted by Professor Claire Collins, who is a professor of nutrition research at New South Wales. Is it New South Wales? Newcastle University, I think it is. Yeah, University of Newcastle. You may have heard this website called No Money, No Time, where if you sign up, you can go through a quiz, answer some questions about your diet and what you want to achieve from it. Do you want to get stronger? Do you want a healthy lifestyle? Or things like that. And then it gives you some ideas and goals to achieve your outcomes that you want. So, like I said, whether you want to lose weight, get stronger, whatever, build muscle, etc. Yeah, so I knew about this No Money, No Time, and it gives you a lot of good recipes. A lot of them are simple.
Because I know how much a good cook you are, so yeah.
Yes, exactly. Sometimes I do get tempted to look into the recipes and go, yep, got to do it. But this website caters for people who suffer from any allergies, FODMAP, celiac, lactose, etc. So you can do a lot of research. But
beautiful.
Professor Claire Collins has just started this new podcast, and she's going to bring in guests every week to talk about diet and interesting research that she's come across, and then ask them questions and things like that. Her first guest in last week's episode was Dr. Karl Kruszyniski, and the two have worked together a lot on Triple J's science show every Thursday. She comes on as a guest quite often to talk about the research she's been doing.
Dr. Karl.
Dr. Karl, yeah, Dr. Karl, Dr. Karl. Yeah.
Okay.
He was the first guest on her show, whereas normally she's the guest on his show. So
nice.
Role reversal. So in this episode, they talk about tomatoes and the antioxidant called lycopene and the benefits of that.
I've heard of lycopene.
Yeah, so it's the ingredient that makes the tomato red, and things like that, and how they go into the science of it a little bit, and they say it's one of the few foods, or what is it? Lycopene is one of the few compounds that when you heat it, it actually increases, and so when you heat it, you get more lycopene created as you heat it. So when you eat a raw tomato, you don't get as much of it compared to when you heat it. And so,
what does it do? What does lycopene do for your body?
It's an antioxidant, kills the free radicals. So it's been known to help reduce cancer risks and things like that, which is why it's high in the Mediterranean diet. They also go into again, within Mediterranean diet, the perfect marriage of olive oil and tomatoes and how they work well together, because the lycopene gets absorbed by the oil really easily, which then makes it easier for the human to absorb the lycopene, which is good for you. So in isolation, the tomato's great. You cook it, even better. Mix it with olive oil, even better, because then it's easier to absorb into your body. So they go through all of that.
They pretty much say that's the best diet, don't they? The Mediterranean diet.
Yeah, Mediterranean, yeah. When I saw my heart specialist a few years ago, he convinced me to go onto Mediterranean diet, but then I just went, I prefer Asian. Asian diet's much nicer, much tastier.
I would have thought the Asian diet would be a good diet. What would be wrong with that?
I think it's still pretty good. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong. It's totally different to the Mediterranean, obviously.
You're not really on an Asian diet, though, are you?
No, everything. Mediterranean, Asian, Aussie.
Yeah.
The other thing they talked about in this show was in this episode was alcohol and how it gets absorbed by the stomach and the effects on humans and things like that. So again, based off research that she's gone through, and Dr. Carl puts in his 2 cents worth, of course, as well. Sometimes it's hard to tell in this episode who's the host and who's the guest.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes total sense. That makes total sense.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how future episodes go and the information you get. But it's only one episode. I actually enjoyed it. They go for about 30. This one went for 35 minutes.
Not like our potty that's going to go for an hour and a half.
Yeah, so I'm going to wrap it up right now and I'll probably give it based on the first one, a 4.1 out of 5.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
okay.
So it's okay. Right. It's good so far.
Okay.
I'll have to keep listening to see if it goes up or down.
I know it's hard. I mean, because it's hard for potties to infiltrate when you've got so many to listen to. Like they've got to be good. And I don't know about you, but I tend to still gravitate towards certain ones, and then I have to go. Okay, well, I need to get out of that funk now. I'll end up in a political funk or something, and I need to get out of that and just have a laugh. So something like Get This, or I want to do something that's a bit more. Something that's a bit more sort of heartfelt, like the Imperfects or the Happiness Lab or something like that. But this, it sounds interesting. So I'll definitely look out for it.
Yeah, it's healthy. It's great. It should be
well, it's got recipes as well. I love podcasts that have got recipes.
Yes. Thank you for the reminder. This one also includes a bolognese sauce. I know you don't like beef, but
I can put pork mince in, so that's not a problem.
Oh yeah, true. It's a bolognese sauce that they talk about that Dr. Karl cooks, and the theories and different. And she also puts different spins on the same recipe depending on your diet and other requirements. So
cool.
It'll be in the show notes, but yes, so there'll be recipes too.
Okay, cool. So we will have both Get This and Nutrition Science Bites in our show notes as well. We'll have links to how you can get those potties for yourself. That is your lot tonight, people.
Yep.
It's been a big show. We've had a fantastic time. Thank you very much, Sarah, for your time.
Yes.
Listener, thank you very much for you listening, as it were. And we keep enjoying. So we should see you next week with another fun-packed show. Until then, Wencee, it's been a pleasure as always.
And pleasure's all mine. Thank you, everyone. Bye. Oh, hang on. I was covering my face. Bye.